And the best way to do that is to start with an increased mineral reserve that allows us to be able to buy the time for the industry to catch up and to continue to develop. At the end of the day, we want to run it just like the Strategic Petroleum Reserve to be able to not only manage the supply chain, but then be able to influence pricing when others want to be able to kind of manipulate the pricing of those minerals on the open market.
Welcome back inside our proactive newsroom. And joining me now is Alberto Rezende. He is the CEO of M2I Global. And Alberto, good to see you again. How are you?
Great. Excellent, Steve. Good to see you too. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Thanks very much. And lots to talk about this week. But before we do that, maybe just remind everyone a little bit about the company itself and what your mission is.
Right. The M2I Global is in the critical mineral space, and our vision is to create a reliable, resilient, traceable, and transparent global supply chain for critical minerals for the U.S. for the purposes of national security and economic security.
Yeah, and a big part of that is the ecosystem and the importance of that. Maybe we can talk through a bit about that because that's something that obviously I know you're working really hard on.
Correct. The focus of the company is to create a strategic mineral reserve. To be able to do that, we have to be able to have a lot of partners that provide a lot of resources and bring a lot to the table in terms of either technology, development, research, lab assessment, and a lot of other capabilities to be able to build a large enough strategic mineral reserve to be able to prevent the disruption in the supply chain of critical minerals to our industry, our economic prosperity, and to ensure that we have those available for our national security requirements.
Yeah, and so a lot of that is done face to face, and you're actually going to be at a Wall Street conference coming up next week that really is going to give you an opportunity to talk to not only potential investors, but also people just that want to learn a bit more about the company itself. So, Alberto, what's the message you're bringing there?
Well, the key message is that we need to understand that we need to begin to divest our dependence on China and Russia and some of the other countries that maybe want to hold our jugular vein as far as our supply chain for critical minerals. So in order to be able to do so, we need to begin to develop a comprehensive path forward to redevelop the industry. And the best way to do that is to start with an increased mineral reserve that allows us to be able to buy the time for the industry to catch up and to continue to develop. At the end of the day, we want to run it just like the Strategic Petroleum Reserve to be able to not only manage the supply chain, but then be able to influence pricing when others want to be able to kind of manipulate the pricing of those minerals on the open market. So that's really the key message. And there's going to be many investors and many others that will want to hear this. We've been really on the road recently at several other events, and the message that we're bringing to everyone really resonates because everybody has a clear understanding that the critical minerals and the fact that we don't control a lot of the supply chain is in the news, but most people don't really understand the actual makeup of what it really means to us if that supply chain were to be disrupted.
Yeah, just interested in your thoughts. Obviously, an election happened, and there's going to be a returning president in Donald Trump. He has talked very openly about the fact that they want to rely more on what's available in the United States as well. Is that a positive sign for your company that he's coming in with an idea that they have to find that source locally?
Well, I think that if we look back all through the administrations, going back to even President Obama, there's been an increased focus on the critical minerals that are required for our economic independence, economic security, as well as our national defense. And each administration subsequently has played greater emphasis in identifying what we need to do to make sure we have a resilient supply chain. And so I think that just the awareness and the increased understanding of how critical the supply chain is of critical minerals is something that's important to us. And anyone that places more emphasis on it will support us. We've been talking a lot with folks already in Washington, D.C., and in the states where we do business, particularly in Nevada. And we have the endorsement of the existing congressmen, senators, the governor of Nevada, and folks in Washington. So this can only mean better news for us.
All right. Well, enjoy the conference, Alberto. Thank you so much. Good to catch up with you, and we'll talk again soon, okay?
Thanks, Steve. Look forward to talking to you again soon.
All right, there's Alberto Rezende. He is the CEO of M2I Global.